Hello YouTube, GreatRJ1 here, and I'm back today with another concept video for Battlefront 2. Now keep in mind that I was actually wanting to do Ahsoka next, but I was beginning to forget the abilities I was going to do for this concept, which you know by the title, Baby Yoda, or as probably most of you know him or used to know him, Grogu. Now, I was actually wanting to do Ahsoka next, but I was beginning to forget the abilities for Grogu and Mando, so I had to quickly think of another ability and then get them done quick, which I've not done Mando yet. I'll be doing him right after Grogu, and I was actually going to do Palpatine gameplay, but I ended up not doing it because otherwise it would have been 3 concepts in a row with just the same hero gameplay. So I settled on Yoda gameplay, since they are the same species and it would make a nice change. Now Grogu, he'd be a unique hero. His health would be topping out at either 700 or 750. And he would basically be the counter to Palpatine in the normal game, basically, because their gameplays would have been much similar, which is why I wanted to do Palpatine instead of Yoda, but I decided to do Yoda just so you had a difference of gameplay. Basically, Grogu would be using the Force to attack his enemies. It would deal about, now this would not be needing to be charged up, but the damage it would put out would be about 50, so it is a pretty heavy damage for just the default damage. I've not even got onto the abilities yet, meaning that it just takes about 2 seconds for him to deal at least, for him to deal at least 100 damage, so he can do a lot of damage fast. Now he would have a block. It would basically be Yoda's block, which is also what the Palpatine concept block was. Yoda's block in the current game right now, which is where he uses the Force. So those would be their blocks. Now every 10 seconds Grogu would perform a Force push that would be unblockable. So if you had an enemy near a ledge, if they were close enough, then they would get sent flying, if they were blocking or not. This would only happen every 10 seconds though, and would deal an additional 50 damage, basically topping his damage output at 100 once he does his Force push. Which is not an ability, by the way, so he basically has a way on getting enemies away from him, basically, when he is attacking. Now let's get into his abilities, eh? So his left ability, well, this would be more of a dark side ability, but he did it in The Mandalorian, and to be fair, I've not watched much of it, so I might redo this concept one day. And this ability would be Force Choke. This would basically just be Vader's Force Choke, nothing too special about it. So this would be his first ability, basically just be the same as Vader's Force Choke, nothing really too much to worry about. Now his middle ability is where things get quite different. Basically, this ability will put him in his crib that he has. This would make him invincible to any and all damage, basically making him have an escape. However, this would only be active for either 5 or 3 seconds. So yeah, now he cannot get damaged anywhere, and there's no way for him to get damaged in it, and if there was, it would have to be a bug. Now his last and right ability would be called JEDI Training. This would just give him a health buff with 50% damage reduction. The health buff would be about 150 with a 50% damage reduction. So he does have so he can increase his power. Now, there's not really much to say after this apart from all the stamina he uses. He can basically attack for at least 15 or 20 seconds, but I'll say 15 just to keep things fair. So he can attack for 15 seconds before running out of stamina. The block, he can block 20 blaster bolts and 15 lightsaber attacks. So, so the abilities attack will always be the same for the saber damage for my concept. So basically, saber damage for Grogu. So yeah, saber blocking stamina for his ability blocking stamina, and that would also be the same for Palpatine, and basically any other hero that can block for their abilities. So yeah, so Grogu, he's a pretty good hero so far. Now the middle ability would be called probably something like, I don't know, maybe like something as if it was like, I don't really know what to call it. Could be something like Baby's Protection or Grogu's Protection or the Child or something like that. I think it would be better if it was for the Child. So he will be, so that ability, so his middle ability would be called the Child. Now his gameplay would be quite similar to Palpatine's, which is also why he's basically the counter to Palpatine, if you're in the way he attacks at least. Now he does have quite powerful abilities, and when it comes to my Mando concept, basically there will be one of his appearances, and this will basically get rid of his jetpack. So if there's not a Grogu hero in the map, the Grogu will appear levitating him for the jetpack. But if a Grogu hero is in the map, then basically what will happen is basically the Grogu will shut his eyes and sort of move, and will slightly move one of his hands, which will be the left hand, which is also the hand he would be attacking with. And he would be using only one hand though, and there's really no way to do it. Now the melee, not really much of a I haven't really thought of a melee. This could just be where he just releases a sort of like force push, or just a power of force energy to the enemy, basically damaging them. Now basically I just realised the Jedi training one is actually just Force Heal, and I think that was the original ability I had plans for him, because that was the ability I had trouble remembering. So it will just be called Force Heal. It will heal all enemies, it will heal all his allies and himself around him, but this will cost him 5 of his health, because in lore he will actually take away, it's meant to take away part of your life force in lore, so that will sort of be reflected in Battlefront, so you sort of have to give it part of your health to help others. However, it's not going to be a crazy amount, because if it was, then you'd be a bit too weak. I mean, we want him to be just powerful enough where he's playable, but not too weak enough where he's not playable, which is why he's going to basically be having to take away some of his health. So now, what will be so how much health and damage reduction would he get? Well, the health would be about 250, basically upping his health to if I'm correct, 1,100. So he does get quite a bit of health from it, and we'll also get his 50% damage reduction as it was before. However, it will be at a cost where he will have to lose 5 health, which cannot be regen back without kills. This will be his little problem with it, but to be fair, it will not be too much of a problem. So now let's get into his star cards. And with the star cards, I will also be going on, and now with the star cards, I will, after the video, be doing after the video I will release a picture on my community page, basically showing what my looks for his abilities would be. I did that with Palpatine, if you haven't seen it yet. So yeah, so let's get into his star cards. Let me just switch that so I'm ready for hero modes when I use him there, when I use Yoda there. So his first star cards. Now really his crib will not really get a star card because there's nothing really too much to do for it. So it can't really attack it, so it will just be, it basically becomes invincible in it, and the crib cannot be destroyed either, so there will never be a star card on this list for his crib, sadly. So this first one would be generosity. This would increase the extra health given by him by 50 health. So he's at 1,100 health if he's at max health right now. So it will go from 50, 100, 150 and 200 up in his health, his max health, up to 1,300, which is more than Vader's health if he has the bonus health star card. With Furious Rage activated at max health, so that is a lot of health for this little green friend. Now the next star card, this would be Uncontrollable Anger. This would increase the range of his force choke, so, and this would go from 5% to 10% to 15%, all the way up to 20%. So this would increase his range, giving him a bit more range when he needs it. Now he would have the same force range as Palpatine, and he will have a star card that will increase the range for his force push. For the force energy. Now I don't know how you know if it would be hitting. I probably would put like the dotted lines, you know, that just so you know how far away it is, or you have a number in your hit marker, because he would be able to hit multiple enemies at once because he's using the force. So yeah, now this, you already know what it is, increases the range for his force push. Now this one, this would be the extra force, and this would basically increase his range of his force, of the force energy. Now this would go from basically how Palpatine's normal one goes, 15 to 20 to 25 to 30. So he does get about the same, so we will always have the same range as Palpatine in the default game. Now the next star card would be Jedi training. This would basically allow him to deal extra damage to enemy villains with his force attacks. Now this extra damage, this already is applied to Yoda, and this can actually help Grogu because he will always have to be at a range. Now he won't always be at a range, but most of the time he will. so he will be able to. Now this would just be the same, nearly the same as Yoda's, but it would go from. So it would be from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20, effectively giving him 70 damage on the normal attacks and 120 on the force special attacks. So he does get more force energy to attack the villains. Keep in mind, this will only be done to the villains, which is the dark side heroes, so do keep that in mind. It's not going to be permanent for everything, it will only be for the villains. So this is more of a hero mode situation. Next one, this would be not having the crib involved for the star cards does make it a little hard, but then you can't really upgrade it or degrade it, can you? I know. So this would probably be called a, like, I don't know what it would be called, to be honest. Probably JEDI energy, and this would just increase his stamina. All stamina going from basically the same with here, 15% to 20% to 25%, with the finally reaching 30%. Next would be the, I don't know, something to do with Mando, with Din Djarin, and which is the Mandalorian. So if you have anything doing with Din Djarin, then do let me know. Who is the Mandalorian, the star of the show, in case you didn't know, and you didn't know it was Din Djarin, but it's pretty popular now, so yeah. This would give him damage reduction no matter what to everything. This damage reduction would go from 5 to 10 to 15 all the way up to 20. So he gets about 20 damage reduction at max, so he does become less vulnerable to damage. And while he's able to hide behind his block, if he ever gets caught in something, he won't be completely defenseless. Next would be, I don't know, well, we already did the bonus health, so we can't really do this with that. I mean, do that with this right now, so growing energy or something like that. Yeah, I'll just go with growing energy. This would allow Grogu to basically this would give him increased damage on his attacks, on everything, while Force Heal is active. And this will only be for when Force Heal is active, and Force Heal will basically last for 10 or 15 seconds, so he gets the extra health when he needs to for a good long time. 5 seconds longer than Dooku's duelist, which is as in the default, so it will go, the damage will be going from 5 damage to 15 damage to 20 damage to 30 damage, so you get 30 extra damage. Now this would not stack up on the villain ones, this would just replace the amount of damage that it does, or I can make it stack up. I'm probably just yeah, I'm just gonna make it stack up, why not? So if it gives the 30 extra damage, then he'll be able to do, if he has this cards on, and he's in fighting heroes, he'll be doing 100 damage to them defaultly. He'll be doing 100 damage to them without the force push attack, and 150 to them with the force push attack, which would be quite hard because it's, even if you dash or use an ability that should not get you knocked out, it can knock you out of it. Now this is sort of another way to defend Grogu. Now do keep in mind he's strong in the force, which is why it's sort of like this. So without them, he would be going from, he'd have 80 normal damage while this was active, and maybe this one would be more useful for trooper modes because you're going to be fighting more troopers than actual heroes. And 130 damage on the force push. So this does pretty much give him a little bit of an edge. Now keep in mind, I will not give him any appearances because he's not had any multiple appearances yet, so there will not be any appearances for this video, let alone victory poses or emotes or voice lines, because really that would be a little bit complicated to do, but I'm sure DICE would have found a way to implement them. So now this one. I know. So, because he's only had one force choke card so far, let's give him another force choke card, shall we? So this one would be called Protection, and this would be because he actually tried to protect Mando in the Mandalorian, which is why he would be called that, by force choking one of the friends he was playing with. I can't remember, I don't know which episode it is, keep in mind I've not watched it fully yet, so no spoilers in the comments, but I am currently watching it though, so I'll soon know what it is. I think it's the season 2 episodes, I'm not too sure, but this, and then Grogu force chokes the friend in the Mandalorian, can't remember her name, but I think it was Cara Dune, I can't remember, but this is why it would be called Protection. Basically, this increases the time he uses the force choke for, but becomes 2% more vulnerable to damage. Now really, this would be a card useful for dueling, because you get the damage for much longer. Now really, it would go on for basically the same time as Vader's, so he and Vader have a lot in common in this with their force chokes, because they are pretty much identical. The increased active time would be from 10% to 20% to 30%, all the way up to 40%. And when I say all the way up, I mean on the last tier, which is the max tier. Now this last card, the reason why it's being saved for last is because this would actually change how Grogu can play, which is why it's been saved for last. Because this is one you could say that will take some responsibility. Now this card would basically be called, I don't know. No, not that, but I actually don't know. Let's just call it bonus fail for now. If I think of a name, I'll put it in the comments. And you can think of names and put them in the comments if you want, while I'm trying to think of the name. This would give Grogu bonus health. Now, you know how the Palpatine one went, and it went all the way up to 200 health. This one will not be as insane. Now, Grogu's it's meant to be fairly balanced. While being balanced, is also meant to be quite powerful while being quite balanced. so he is going to not have too much of a crazy increase. This would go from 10 extra health, so it's not really that much yet, to 50, which is quite a lot, 100, and then up to 150. So it's not as insane as Palpatine's, but it's still pretty insane. And this would give him 900 health, like Anakin. So this would basically change how he's played. So yeah. Now the reason why the cards that increases the force choke time gives you 2% extra damage is because it's not meant to be as powerful as Vader, but it's also not meant to be as weak as Leia in a 1v1. Now Leia is pretty weak along with BB-9E, and I did actually update my 1v1 choosings, how I decide, my 1v1 ranking, and Leia came last with BB-9E being second to last. I just don't see them being useful in the 1v1. They would not last very long without dying quickly. That's how it is for me though. Which, for Grogu, he's not meant to be too powerful, but it's not also meant to be too strong, which is why he gets that 2% extra damage, but really it's not going to be that much. So now on to what would be the best cards for him. Now, you would want that extra force range, so he would have that extra range. Next card would be the bonus health. That health is going to be quite good for you. Now the last card is really going to be up to what you think, but for me, I'm probably going to go with the cards that will increase the damage or increase his health when he activates Force Heal. Keep in mind, this does take away some of his health. That cannot be regens without kills, but he does have his health count like all the others, which are usually 20 kills on a trooper. And I don't know how it is for reinforcements. I'm assuming it's 20. It could be 50 though, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is 50. So I'm just going to, for all the hero concepts I do, it will be 50. And I'm 100 for heroes. So this will not really be too much of a problem, because you're probably going to be getting kills with Grogu anyway, unless you're in a 1v1. At that point, you're not going to be able to regen the health, so you have to be careful. However, at the end of the ability, you will get that 5 health back, so that I just thought you're going to be using it quite a lot in different modes, and you won't always be able to regen it back because you'll be using it quite a lot. Oh wait, I never went down their cooldowns, did I? So for Force Choke, it would have about a 15-second cooldown, the Crib 20 seconds, and the Heal another 15 seconds. So he does have rather long cooldowns, but for how powerful he is, it should not be too much of a problem. That was a long video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this concept for Grogu. Don't know how I'm going to do the thumbnail if Yoda and Grogu are basically nearly completely different. I could just use the Yoda model, and then try and change it. I could try that. I don't know how it will work though. So I might just use the Yoda model and just change the outfit. I know that won't be much like Grogu, but I can just use the Certainty victory pose, which I am going to be planning to use for it really. And then I'll just basically put the Grogu clothing on. Or I can do that, but I think the Certainty will look much better, and I am yet to unlock it, but I'm less than 500 kills away from unlocking it. So hopefully I can go on co-op one day, which hopefully will be soon, and just grind to get it, because I've been trying to get it for a long time. And I feel like it should be about time, since I've Yoda at quite a high level. Anyway, once I upload this video, once I'm finished making this video, which will be in a couple seconds if not minutes, I'll get to making Mando, I'll upload Grogu, then do Mando. Then I'll upload Mando, probably take a bit of a break for who knows long, and then I'll probably come back and do Ahsoka Tano. Sorry for keeping you waiting, because I know I was really wanting to get Ahsoka Tano done, but I was forgetting Grogu and Mando's abilities that I was going to give to them, so I have to get them out of the way first before I forget. Anyway, I'll finish these heroes. I'll show you the abilities on my community posts on what I would have them look like and what their descriptions would be, which is what I did with Palpatine, by the way. You had the Chain Lightning, the Lightning Storm, and the Force Screams. So for Grogu, we have Force Choke, and then we have the Crib, and we also then have Force Seal. So hopefully we can get this done and we can finish off the video. I'm quite worn out after doing that video, so yeah, but I will carry on and do Mando next, and then I can take a bit of a break because I am needing it. I'll see you guys next time, so bye.